watching AYV Television.
Good evening, viewers. Welcome to another episode of The Woman's Place, your weekly women's health program coming to you live on Channel 33 AYV Television. I am your host, Dr. Frances Ramatuwuri Sise, obstetrician gynecologist. We're currently streaming live on www.ayvnews.com, and our Facebook page at The Woman's Place is looking forward to receiving your questions and comments. As always, you can call us on 025-271-959 as we look forward to taking your questions and comments a little later on in the show. Our topic of discussion this evening is the importance of family planning in Sierra Leone. The world's population continues to grow rapidly despite significant advances in contraceptive options for women over the last 50 years. Almost 50% of all pregnancies are unwanted or unplanned. Family planning offers individuals and couples the ability to anticipate and attain the desired number of children through spacing and timing of their births. Research and family planning organizations have traditionally focused on female methods of contraception because women bear a disproportionate portion of health and economic consequences of childbearing and rearing. But there's definitely place for male involvement as well. An understanding of the available contraceptive methods allows clinicians to counsel couples about methods that are consistent with their lifestyle and beliefs and thus more likely to be successful. With me in the studio this evening, I have Dr. Francis Moses, Program Manager for Reproductive Health at the Ministry of Health and Sanitation. Dr. Moses, please say good evening to our viewers.
Good evening, viewers.
I also have with me Sister Safiatu Fode, Reproductive Health Specialist from UNFPA. Sister, please say good evening to our viewers.
Good evening, viewers.
Thank you. Dr. Moses, let me start with you. What do we mean when we talk about contraception or family planning? What do we mean?
Contraception tries to stop a woman from getting pregnant. A woman gets pregnant when a man's sperm gets in contact with one of the woman's eggs. Mm-hmm. And contraception is how we try to stop this from happening by either keeping the egg and the sperm apart or stopping egg production.
Right.
Family planning is an all-encompassing concept that talks about controlling the number of children that a couple can have, mm-hmm. and the intervals between their births.
The number of years.
The number of years between the children that they can have. Other aspects of family planning include sex education, prevention and management of sexually transmitted infections, right. Preconception counseling and management, infertility management.
Thank you. So it's not only about contraception per se. Family planning is a lot more than that.
Yes.
Thank you for that. We see that family planning is an essential part of primary health care, like the preventative aspect. Why do you think this is a very important conversation to be having now, Sister Hudi?
Thank you very much, Doc, and thank you, viewers, for taking your time to actually listen to us. Family planning is important in this country because our maternal mortality is high, and all over the world it has been documented that family planning is one of the key strategies to reduce maternal mortality.
That's true.
So it's one of the important discussions in this country.
Anything else you want to add, Dr. Moses, as to why we should be, we should always be having the conversation, but why are we talking about it right now?
Well, family planning has contributed a lot to reducing the total fertility rates that we have globally, from about 3.7 children per woman in the 80s to about 2.4 children per woman in current times. And as a result of this, we've seen a reduction in unintended pregnancies, a reduction in maternal mortality globally, and women are now in control of how many children they can have. They make choices about contraception and what methods they can use. And we are seeing reductions in unsafe abortions, which could have happened if family planning was unavailable. We're seeing a reduction in unwanted pregnancies. And in general, family planning is an important factor for national development. So a nation that can improve on family planning is well along the way to national development.
In addition to that,
go ahead, sister.
In addition to that,
yes, sister.
Just to add to the global picture, quite recently, as recent as yesterday, the indicators for DHS was launched. And in that indicator, there is an impression that the total fertility, even in our country,
has gone down.
Is better. And so we're happy.
That's good. So when we're talking about contraception, and you just made a good distinction between contraceptives and like family planning services. So when we're talking about family planning services, in this day and age of HIV, family planning services plays a great role, right? In reducing HIV rates. And as we've mentioned, our high maternal mortality rate in Sierra Leone, if we reduce the amount of people that are getting pregnant, especially unwanted pregnancy, the consequences, the adverse consequences will also be reduced. Dr. Moses, please give us some statistics. Now, let's talk about Sierra Leone. You've mentioned the total fertility rate in the world, well, worldwide. Now, for Sierra Leone, what are those statistics?
All right, so the total fertility rate for Sierra Leone in 2013, in the last DHS, was 4.9.
That means what exactly?
Right, so 4.95. It means that in her lifetime, the total number of children likely to be born to a woman of reproductive age was 5.
It's about 5, yeah.
5,
yes.
okay.
But now it has reduced to 4.2, roughly 4. So we have seen that there has been a decrease in the total fertility rate. There are differences between rural and urban settings, of course, with higher fertility rates at rural settings than in urban settings.
Okay.
And then there's the modern contraceptive prevalence rate as well, which has increased based on the figures we saw yesterday with the new DHS.
The one that sister was talking about, okay.
Yes, so we have seen an increase from 16% of women who are currently using, or whose sexual partner is currently using, a modern method of contraception.
Which we will talk about later.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the modern contraceptive prevalence rate. It has increased from 16% to 21%, which means more women
are going for it.
More couples are now using contraception.
Okay, that's good. So good that we have those statistics, but even though we see some improvement, we still have a long way to go when it comes to ensuring that people use modern contraceptives. Sister, what do you think some of those barriers are when it comes to the use of these methods, which we're about to go through, but what are those barriers that we have in Sierra Leone?
Well, one of the documented barrier here is stock out, unavailability of commodities. Government and its partners actually have mobilized resources and made commodities available within country. And so this stock outs I'm talking about is about maybe stock out at service delivery point. There's a disconnect between availability of commodities at service delivery point and a central medical store.
So probably they are at the stores.
At the point where the consumers need these commodities, they are stock outs. And so one of the reasons could be stock out. Another one is socio-cultural beliefs.
Right.
Some people feel they cannot still go on contraceptives. Modern methods of contraceptives, they believe in lactation and amenorrhea or even spacing. And this world that we are seeing, people are not marrying more than one woman these days. And so if they are close partners and their relationship is intimate, they are bound to have mistimed pregnancies.
Exactly.
And so those are that's one of the reasons again. Another reason could be inadequate number of service providers at the service delivery point, depending on the method. This time around, we're talking about availability of commodities. We want to talk about informed choice and allowing clients to make proper choice. And so if we don't have range of contraceptives at service delivery point, we are limiting them.
Right.
And so in that light, we want to talk about unavailability of the adequate number of staff at that point who can provide a range of contraceptives.
Okay, thank you. So you've mentioned the fact that there are no medication or inadequate number of staff. Dr. Moses, anything else? What else? And religious and cultural barriers. That's an important thing. What else do you think could possibly be a barrier when it comes to the uptake of contraceptives?
I think Sister has mentioned the most important
ones. Yes.
The sociocultural sociocultural barriers to uptake of family planning contribute a lot to reduced uptake. And then there's the lack of awareness as well about the availability of the various methods.
So where they can access them, or something like that?
Yes. Okay. And in Sierra Leone, for example, family planning is free, but not everyone knows that family planning is free. So there's that perceived cost barrier to accessing family planning, and that can be an issue as well. Okay. Again, there are also other barriers to access. For example, we still have a few policy issues that are not yet clear. For example, a teenager wanting to access family planning services, is this something that can legally be provided to them by a health care worker,
or would they need a consent from the parent?
Or would they need consent from the parents? And would the parents be willing to provide that consent?
That's a good
point. So these are other issues that we also need to talk about if we want to be able to provide comprehensive family planning services.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So now on this table we have an array of products. We're just going to basically you start where you want to go. We start with one. We're just going to talk about each method that we have here available in Sierra Leone. So people, as Sister has said, know that they have choices. And they're going to use a contraceptive method that suits them well and more likely is more likely to be successful. So Dr. Moses, the floor.
Can I just start?
Oh, your sister wants to start. Go ahead. I love it.
Because I want to start with condoms.
Go ahead.
Yes,
I am fine with that.
People look at condoms as a method that you just use when you want to prevent STIs.
Right.
But I want to say here, condom does not only prevent STIs, but it's a method used to prevent pregnancy. And so condom has a dual purpose. So when we talk about all the range of contraceptives, we're also adding on condom to that one, so that people are sure that they are not infected with a long-term conditions like HIV, even hepatitis B, and
syphilis, and all the rest of the sexually transmitted diseases.
Generally.
Yes.
So I have in my hands now the two types of condoms that are available, the male condom and the female condoms. The female condom is very unpopular, but I want to encourage women to actually take charge of this, to be in charge of this, to be in charge of their bodies, and so to encourage them to be using this female condom.
And they can get the condoms where?
As Dr. Riley said, condoms or contraceptives generally are free at government service delivery points. However, there are some NGOs who charge free fee for service at their service or static delivery points. But outreach services and government services, family planning is free, including condoms. Yes. You can go and pick a condom as long as you walk into the clinic.
Very good, sister.
So another one, the next one.
Which one would you want?
I will stop with the microlube.
Okay, so now
let me talk about Cyanopress.
Okay, so
Cyanopress is one of the emerging contraceptives that we talk about globally, and for Sierra Leone is also new, quite new because a year old, and it's like the depot.
Yes, so these are injectables.
They are both injectables, and so but Cyanopress is administered subcutaneously,
under the skin.
Yeah, under the skin, and whilst the depot is in the muscle, and so that's the difference. And the mode of action is the same, and the last for the same period of time. That's 3 months.
How many? Yes, I was going to ask.
3 months. They last for 3 months each. Okay. So they are both injectables, and they last for 3 months each. I think the next one is another progesterone, the microlute. I have it in hand already. So the microlute also is a mini pill. That means it's got one hormone in it, and so it's good for almost all the women, and most preferably the lactating mothers do use this microlute. I stop here so far.
Okay, thank you. That's a good start. So, Dr. Moses, these are on your side.
These are on
my
side.
Them up.
So,
yes, so you go ahead.
I just wanted to mention that we pride ourselves in being able to provide the full method mix in Sierra Leone. So all of the available methods of contraception are available in Sierra Leone. And I just wanted to make one additional point about the cyanapres. So this contraceptive is self-injectable.
Right.
And
which means you can give it to yourself.
Yes. So you could actually walk into a health facility, get taught how to do it. It's very simple, really. And you could take it home and inject yourself when you need to have your contraceptive shot.
Makes it easier to use.
It makes it easier to use and to access. Yes. And if you have, if you're a busy person and you want to have some time, or you don't have some time to visit a health facility or a pharmacy, you can get this and do it at home. This is the morning after pill or emergency contraceptive pill. It is the pill that you can take immediately after having unprotected sexual intercourse if you want to prevent pregnancy. And you can take it up to 5 days after intercourse, and you would be able to prevent pregnancy.
But this is, I guess, should they be taking this? How often should they be using this? Should women be using this?
So that's a tricky question. Unfortunately, it seems that people now take this as a regular method of contraception, and it is not supposed to be a regular method of contraception. If you want to be taking a pill on a regular basis, then you have to take the combined oral contraceptive pill. So this is one type, Xenia F, or it's commonly called microgynon. And this is exactly the same pill, but in a different box. The emergency contraceptive is, as it is said, an emergency contraceptive.
Only to be used as that.
As an emergency. It doesn't prevent sexually transmitted infections, which is one of the disadvantages. It also has a few side effects like nausea, headache, and so it can be unpleasant. So that is why it shouldn't be your first line.
Dr. Moses, as you've already mentioned, there are quite a number of women taking this regularly when it comes to as contraceptives, right? And I think it's important that they know that it wouldn't cause an abortion. Like if you're already pregnant, this is not the medicine to take. This is the medicine that you take to prevent that pregnancy happening in the first place. So if you're already pregnant, if it's past the window, as Dr. Moses has said, then there's no point in taking this medication.
And just to underline,
yes, sister,
as the name implies, it should be taken during an emergency. Maybe rape. You cannot walk to your partner and say you had an unprotected sex and say that was an emergency. You should be on a regular pill for that one. And so as the name implies, emergency contraceptives, make sure it's really, really, really during an emergency. Number one, during rape or when the condom breaks. It's an emergency. But don't be on an emergency contraceptive on a regular basis.
Right. Okay, Dr. Moses, what else?
And then the final three, I kept these ones for last because these are called the long-acting reversible contraceptives.
Which means you can take them.
You can take them for an extended period of time. This is level plant, which you can take if it gets implanted in your arm.
So this is what they
call commonly called the captain band. Yes. So
it's another brand of
it's another brand of. There are two of them. There's Jadel, which you can take and get protected for 5 years, and then there's level plant, which you can take and get protected for 3 years. Both of them are double rod implants, which are implanted in the upper arm.
So there are two rods?
There are two rods, yes. Two small rods. I don't know if the camera can pick this up, but yes, there are two small rods that are inserted in the upper arm of the woman, and they help prevent pregnancy for between 3 or 5 years. And then this is the longest acting contraceptive. It's called the copper T or the coil. And
that's the name they know it for.
Yeah, so everyone knows this as the coil.
That's the coil.
This is an intrauterine contraceptive device.
Meaning?
That is, it goes into the uterus or the womb of the woman and stays there for up to 10 years. And it protects you from getting pregnant.
Very good. But we've gone through all of these methods, and they're not without side effects, as you've mentioned. What are some of the side effects that women, for example, women who take the captain band, the implant sister, would come with?
Maybe we need to just quickly say side effects are issues that come up
Yeah.
when you're on medication,
Yeah.
but they are reversible
Yeah.
as long as you stop them, or they last for a very
Short
period.
time,
Yes,
yeah.
they are different from complications. So we are saying relatively contraceptive is safe.
Yes.
So one of the side effects,
Which one is the one? And yeah.
generally for especially the hormonal
Hormonal,
contraceptives,
yes.
be it the short ones and the longer ones, that's the implants and the pills, is that you have spotty bleeding,
Yes,
irregular
irregular
bleeding.
bleeding.
It does happen. And like I normally explain to people at service delivery points or a clinic, I will just tell them, it's like when you enter a big bus, poda, for example, this is our own small coaches that goes around in our country, and so it's, I'm using this
I understand.
expression so that people are listening all over the world.
Yes.
They need to understand
What poda
what poda means. And so when you get there, you need to adjust yourself to the number of people in that particular vehicle so that you settle down. So some of these commodities get themselves adjusted to the individual system, and so it will cause. But for some people, it's just normal and they go on with it. But generally, it causes spotty bleeding, and for some people, nausea that they feel like vomiting, and for some people, slight headache. But it will pass off.
You know, breast tenderness
Yeah, breast,
sometimes
yes.
that
So,
can
but it
happen.
will pass off.
But it's, I mean, it's good that we're saying that because usually those are the side effects usually deter people from using these.
Yeah, yes.
So it's good that they know that if something were to happen to you, please go back to your healthcare provider so you can discuss, and then they find ways
Yes.
of rectifying the problems.
And I'm sure all the healthcare providers are well trained to take them through counseling, pre-contraceptive counseling and post, and further give them a word of advice that if they have side effects that they cannot
They
bear
know where to
with,
go.
they can come back
Okay.
to the clinic.
Yes.
Yeah, and just to add to that, before you get started on any of these hormonal methods, you are put through what is called your medical eligibility criteria.
Sure.
So that determines whether you are fit
Fit for a
for
method.
any of the methods. For example, if you're hypertensive, we wouldn't put you on oral contraceptive
you're
pills.
obese.
If you're obese, we wouldn't as well put you on oral contraceptive pills. So if you have an ongoing sexually transmitted infection, for example, we
You
wouldn't
wouldn't get the
insert an
coil.
IUCD or
That's
the coil. So these are some of the factors that we consider before we start you off on any of the contraceptive methods.
Thank you very much. So lastly, I just want to add sterilization. We didn't talk about that. I mean, it's not more than contraceptive per se, but it's also for women who have completed their families, couples who have completed their families. Well, actually, it goes both ways, male and female. We'll talk about male contraception later. But with regards to female, if you've completed your family and you feel like you want to be able to have a healthy sexual life, you can also go for sterilization if that suits you. Okay, viewers, you are watching The Woman's Place on AYV Television, Channel 33. We're discussing the importance of family planning services in Sierra Leone. We are going to take a short break and we'll be right back to continue the dialogue after this break. Okay, viewers, welcome back to the Woman's Place show on AYV Television Channel 33. I am here with Dr. Francis Moses, Reproductive Health Program Manager at the Ministry of Health and Sanitation. I'm also here with Sister Safiatou Fode, a Reproductive Health Specialist from UNFPA. So you can, just a reminder that you can call us on 025-271-959 to join our conversation. That's 025-271-959. Dr. Moses, I'm going to start back with you. Let's address the myths that are associated with contraceptives in general. Give us some, and then I'll go to Sister.
All right, some very interesting myths about contraceptive use, even amongst healthcare providers. For example, there have been studies that have shown that there are healthcare workers who believe that if you use an IUCD, the coil, on a girl who hasn't had children, you're going to make her barren. And she wouldn't be able to have children for the rest of her lives.
Okay.
And there are myths as well about other contraceptive methods that would, they claim would make a woman barren and not have kids.
I think that's one of the major barriers when it comes to that. Like, you would not be able to have children when you've stopped the contraceptive.
Yes, there are myths that the pills would block the fallopian tubes, and so the woman can't have kids. So it's always related to not being able to have kids once the method has been stopped. But then the good thing is that all the contraceptive methods are reversible, except for permanent sterilization, which are the permanent methods. So, for example, women can choose to have tubal ligation, which is a permanent method.
So like tying your tubes, as we normally say.
Although that also has been shown to fail a couple of times.
Yeah, exactly.
Men can choose to have vasectomy, which is also a tying of the tubes that transfer the sperm to the urethra to the vagina, and then getting the woman pregnant.
Simply put, yeah.
These are some of the myths.
Yes, Sister, please chime in.
No, just to digress a bit.
Okay.
I see when it comes to sterilization,
yes,
it wants to look like it's a female business.
Of course, it should not be.
The men dodge it. And they have an option. They should go for vasectomy.
Of course.
They are always pushing their women for sterilization. But anyway, we'll shelve that for another discussion.
We will talk about that later. So we're talking about myths. The myths that are associated with contraceptives are used.
Yes, one of them again is on the use of Depo. Depo is the injectable. And the injectable normally in this country, people say the way it works is that it causes amenorrhea. That means loss of menses. And so people say all this blood that you don't see, you don't bleed every month, accumulates in your tummy. And this will bring about sterilization, and the tummy gets bigger, you get other things, other complications. Actually, because you're on Depo or contraceptives generally, you gain weight. And when you gain weight, you have your stomach bloated. But there is no correlation between the loss of menses and the accumulation of blood in your abdomen. So that is one myth. Okay. Another myth they say, especially with the IUD, I'm moving back and front.
Yes,
with the IUD is that they will say to you it travels to the chest. There is no way, there is no link where the IUD will move from your uterus to your heart. And so that's another myth again about IUD. And another thing again about IUD people have always said is that, you insert an IUD, a baby will be born with an IUD in his arm.
Holding it.
So holding it like this. I have not seen that in my practice. And there's no link again, because when conception takes place, the baby is in its own sac and the IUD is somewhere else. So if at all the IUD fails or it dislodges and there is implantation, there is no way that baby handles that particular thing. So that's another myth again about it.
Okay, yeah, that's true. But I also wanted to talk about, there are some women who feel like taking antibiotics, for example, is a form of contraception in this country. That's also a myth. People feel like if they douche.
Well, that is antibiotic myths.
Yeah.
But when we talk about myths around this one, I want to
but I understand what you're saying. Since we're talking about contraceptives, we're just trying to say, please use the appropriate method.
Use the appropriate one.
Not like antibiotics takes, or thinking that if you douche, you are preventing
yes,
pregnancy.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there are
that's
some
what we're
people,
saying.
they go again and they say, okay, they have an unexpected pregnancy. I mean, relationship. I don't want to be that broad. And they will come and mix salt and water, they drink and start jumping from one door to the other. It will
Or
work.
cook, yes.
Yeah, so it will work for you. The thing that will work for you is if you think you have an intimate partner and you love each other, be on a normal contraceptive
yeah.
and remain faithful
Until
to each
you're
other.
ready to
Until
have-
you are ready.
ready to have
That's why
children.
family planning is not just about this. It's about the right time to have the right pregnancy
Right.
and the number of children you want.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm just going to go quickly to our Facebook page. There are some comments, I should say. Abdul Toure reports that he's saying condom is the best contraceptive. Would you agree?
I think I agree with him.
Because of the dual protection,
Because
right?
of the dual protection.
Oh, okay. And then Emma Williams is asking if progesterone-only pills are available in Sierra Leone. I think
Of
you
course,
just...
this is a progesterone-only pill, Primolute, Microlute. It is easily available, free of charge in all government
And
or public health facilities.
And Suleiman Kamara is asking which country do we procure these methods from? So to try to talk about the safety of them.
They are not from specific countries, but they go through international procurement and bidding, and so they are pre-qualified by WHO. And so if WHO qualifies a particular method, and they say go ahead, it's safe. So for its safety, we can assure you.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. So now how can we improve? Let's talk about that. How can we improve the use of contraception in Sierra Leone, or contraceptive methods in Sierra Leone?
Interesting question. Now, there has always been the need for contraception in Sierra Leone. I visited the School of Midwifery in Makeni once, and they have a wall dedicated to traditional methods of contraception. So women have been resorting to all sorts of methods to prevent pregnancy. They have padlocks, they have beads around their waist, they
Yes,
have
all those other
ropes,
natural
they have
methods.
horns, they have
That's true.
all sorts of things. So it shows that the need has always been there. Unfortunately, not all of them have the right information or the opportunity to visit a health facility where they can get access to all of these modern methods of contraception. So how can we improve? I think we can improve by creating demand for family planning. And not just focusing on the women, but on the men as well.
Okay.
The men also have a very important role to play in decision making for contraception. It has to be a couple decision, although in many cases the woman takes control of contraception, but when couples are married or when they're living together or they have a relationship, it is important that the decision is made by both of them.
That's good. So I wanted to ask, sister, how do we cater to adolescent girls? We know that 24% of adolescents, by the time they're 15, they've already had sex. And young people, by the time they're 20, 80% have already had sexual intercourse. But how do we improve contraceptive services when it comes to that target group?
We have to use multiple approach.
Okay.
Number one, demand creation. We have to let them know through information. Their services are available for them. And the myth again that goes around that when you are too young, you are not supposed to be on contraceptive. We have to knock that out. Through demand creation, radio, using multiple channels. We can use posters, we can use radio talks to slash that out.
Okay.
As long as you are sexually active, and a sexually active adolescent must be on a contraceptive method.
Right.
So number one, we give them the right information, and as I speak to you quite recent, we have now agreed, ministry and its partner have agreed to actually start comprehensive sexual education in school. And apart from that, there's a continuum of care there, a link between the school and the health facilities.
Yes.
Healthcare service providers have been trained to actually provide services for adolescents. They have the right attitude to actually, which is important to actually receive these adolescents and tailor their needs. Because they might just walk into the clinic for information. So you know what they are there for and you attend to them. I think these are the two major things. You let them know that services are available. You let the service providers know that they are coming. And you let them know as an adolescent what is good for them. What is good for you, if you are able, you delay. Abstinence.
Of course.
But you can delay for so many years if you don't take the right action even when you start, it will be against you. So you need to know when to start and how to start.
Right.
So the right information to prevent pregnancy and sexually transmitted infections, the adolescent need them.
It's key.
Yeah.
And so just to buttress on your point, an abstinence-only sexual education is not enough. I mean, as much as we're preaching abstinence, which is what we want, we have to take into consideration the statistics that we have when it comes to adolescents.
We are saying that's the best.
Yes, of course.
But we are looking at the actual picture. People are sexually active, and so we need to actually tell them services are available.
Fine.
And again, we need to inform them. We tell them about how they work, how these methods work. But they will not just get them, maybe this information everywhere from everybody.
Right.
It should be gotten from somebody who knows the stuff.
Exactly.
The right information from the right
Thank you,
person.
Sister Foster.
Yes, I was going to say we cannot emphasize strongly enough how important it is for us to talk about the adolescents. We've seen that 21% of women aged 15 to 19, that's from the data that we received yesterday. We've actually dropped from 28% to 21%.
So we're doing a bit better.
We're doing a bit better, but it's still quite high.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've seen children as young as 13, 12 years old come in pregnant.
Yes.
You know, child marriage is still a big issue in many of our communities in Sierra Leone. And I think that for us to be able to tackle the problem of teenage pregnancy and getting adolescents to start having access to family planning, the conversation also needs to start at home.
Of course.
The parents also need to provide that enabling environment. First of all, they need to get the required information about family planning that would enable them have that discussion with the kids.
So they themselves have to be educated.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then moving on, they need to have that conversation with their children. The children need to know what it's all about and that there are options available for them to be able to prevent pregnancy. We have seen the adverse impact that pregnancy can have on the development of the girl child, and no parent would want their child to drop out of school because of an unintended pregnancy. So in as much as we don't want that, we shouldn't shy away from having that discussion with the children, and I think that's a very important place to start.
Okay. Somebody on Facebook just asked, Osboy Kamara says, or Kamsin says, how can these services reach lay people? I think as you've mentioned, it's available.
Yes, we will continue to create demand through multiple channels.
Okay.
So we will drill down the information to the layman in the local language, and using multiple, it can be TV, radio, newspaper, but we get the right information to the lay people as best as possible.
Okay. Then Baba Gale just mentioned the fact that we're not talking about vasectomy enough in this society. Dr. Moses just, I mean, both of you have alluded to it, but we're not talking about it enough, I guess, because of those, cultural taboos, so to speak. How can we improve that so that the men know that they also have a responsibility?
Let me bring out one of the myths around that one. Almost all the men I have spoken to about vasectomy, male sterilization, they say they will go impotent.
Yes.
So I think the men need to know that sterilization will not cause impotence.
That's very important.
They need to know that. So it means we also need to educate them.
That's
through the right channel.
That's through the right channel. That's true. So, Dr. Moses, what would be your, what would be your advice to people, like healthcare workers, I should say, when it comes to people going into the facility to attain one of these services?
All right. So healthcare workers have been trained a lot on how to provide family planning services.
Yes.
And one of the most important things that needs to be considered by healthcare workers is the fact that women have to, or couples need to be allowed to make their own choice, their own decisions. So your role as a healthcare worker is to present the available options, discuss the medical eligibility criteria with the client, and allow them to select the method that they think they would best be suited to. Many people would say, oh, I can't take pills on a daily basis. I'll forget to take the pills. So for someone like that, there are many other options available. Discuss the methods with them and allow them to make that choice. as I said before, in all public facilities, we need to know this, that family planning services are free of charge. No one should ask anyone for money. And you can just walk in, have the conversation with the healthcare worker. We've done our best as a ministry to increase the number of service providers available across the country. So in almost every single health facility, there is at least one person trained to provide family planning services to people in even in the most remote of communities.
Okay, thank you. So I want to ask you, Sister Safia, to just give me a last word. But then while you're doing that, kindly comment on how we can increase the advocacy when it comes to contraceptive use in Sierra Leone.
In the space of advocating for contraceptive use, we first of all make sure we secure the commodities, availability. So we want to use this platform to actually advocate to government and its partners to mobilize more resources and procure the contraceptive that this country needs. That's number one. Then the second thing goes to, let not buy it and come and shelf them. They will, that's waste of resources. So we need to again create demand for its use. And when we create demand, people need to have the right people at the right place to provide the services. We have to again make sure people are trained to provide the services that we are creating demand for. So these are the things we'll continue to do. Advocacy is continuing. We'll continue to do that one up and until we get there.
Thank you very much. Dr. Moses, I also want you to give me...
my last word will be to the men.
Go ahead.
My last word will be to the men. I would love to see a man walking to a family planning clinic. With the partner, his partner saying, I have come to support my partner to take family planning.
It's a team.
And for men who feel they are satisfied, they have reached their reproductive numbers, they have attained their reproductive satisfaction, they've got the family they want, we are encouraging them to come for vasectomy. That people will not say,
it's only the women who have
it's only the women that are coming.
So, Dr. Moses, I would like for you to give me your last word, but also somebody just asked about withdrawal method when it comes to as a contraceptive.
All right, so I think we missed out on the traditional methods. Withdrawal is one of the most unreliable methods of contraception that you can think of, because even before a man gets the orgasm, there have been a number of sperm cells released that could cause pregnancy. So it is very ineffective, and it is not advisable as a method of contraception at all.
Thank you. Thank you. So what would be your last word?
And for the last word, I think we have come a long way in providing contraceptive services to the people of Sierra Leone, but there's a lot more that we need to do. We are part of the FP 2020 commitment-making countries. And one of the major commitments is for 1% of the health budget to be dedicated to family planning. There's a lot that family planning can contribute to national development.
Of course.
It makes your family healthier. It makes you, it puts you in a better position to provide for your family. And so family planning is not just about contraception. It's about providing the best possible life for you and your family. And I think that the sooner we get to understand that and start making the decisions as couples, not just leaving family planning to the women, but getting the men involved, getting the men to talk about it, getting the men to accompany their partners, you know, to discuss with health workers what the best method of family planning would be for them. As I said before, it's not just about the contraceptives, but there are so many other things. There's infertility management, there's sexually transmitted infection management. All of that is the composite package of family planning. So men need to get involved as well.
Good, good. Well, viewers, this has been Woman's Place on AYV Television. Remember that a woman's ability to choose if and when to become pregnant has a direct impact on her health and well-being. By reducing the amount of unintended pregnancies, family planning also reduces the need for unsafe abortion and also reduces maternal deaths by up to 1/3. So family planning services represent an opportunity for women to pursue additional education and participate in public life. Additionally, having smaller families allow parents to invest more in each child. So it's a win-win situation. I'd like to thank my panelists, Dr. Francis Moses, Program Manager for Reproductive Health at the Ministry of Health and Sanitation, and also Sister Safia Tufode, Reproductive Health Specialist from UNFPA. I believe we've had fruitful discussions, which hopefully will encourage more people to continue or start taking contraceptives. I'd like to thank my team here at AYV and also the viewers for joining our conversation this evening. Till next time, I've been your host, Dr. Frances Ramatu Wori Sise, wishing you all a happy and a healthy weekend.
You're watching AYV Television.
The Banff District family is coming up with their fourth annual